Okay. Hello and welcome to the Silver and Black Coffee Hour, the San Antonio Spurs podcast based in Austin, Texas. Welcome. My name is Tom Peti. If you're here, it's probably because you've been wanting to see what the only bald reporter on the San Antonio Spurs beat has to say about the team's new bald era. It's a lot. We'll get into it all. But in short, bald is beautiful. Bald is a performance enhancer. Two guys who I know who unfortunately have great hair, unfortunately for them. Aaron Blackaby and Zach Montana. Aaron, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'll do even better. And I'm just saying this off the top of the show. If you like and subscribe to the podcast, if you're new here, if you've been here before, leave a comment. If you haven't been here before, leave a comment. Ask a question. We're glad you're here. We're glad the Spurs are playing well again. So yeah, I'll go there for now. Zach, how are you?
Zach, what about you?
Doing good. No complaints on my end. Got to watch an all-time performance last night. Got to, I think we made another fan. My Uber driver, shout Johan if you're watching. Big fan from Cuba. My guy.
Oh yeah. It's been an interesting week of Spurs basketball, right? Some bad vibes at the beginning. Then some shears, some buzzers, some clippers, and now good vibes. So,
Kind of interesting. There was one of us that said that was how the week was going to go.
okay, congratulations. Good for you. Well done. Well done. Smart guy, it seems, but not a bald guy. Once again, you may know ball, but do you know bald? I don't think so.
I don't.
think you do.
I don't. In fifth grade, I
Um,
got to a buzzed haircut at one point. I don't know bald.
Okay, I think that the buzz cut guys are the most convincible to get them to switch over.
I thought you were going to
And
say culture vultures.
no. They get to know, they get to dip their feet in the shallow end. They get to know the shape of their own head before you see it, And that's the truly powerful thing for Wemby and Keldon. They can grow a full head of hair. Choosing baldness before baldness chooses you is a powerful choice. I think everybody should shave their heads right now, personally. Think that would be dope. I may be biased, but I think it's a good idea.
Look, I think just for anyone, for whatever reason, is not aware, after the OKC game where the Spurs had a very bad second half, Keldon Johnson and Victor Wembanyama decided to shave their head, thus awakening Monk Wemby from this summer. Comrade Wembanyama came back out, and look, I agree with you, Tom. I tend to think of haircuts sometimes as a spiritual practice. Sometimes it is a
Absolutely.
place where bad energy can collect, and it can be a great way of spiritual awakening, spiritual cleansing for yourself, of just washing away whatever was accumulated there. So I think we saw some of that this week for that. So yeah, great time.
We'll go through the games this week, the downs and then the ups, and then we're gonna go into mid-season report cards for the rotation players and the coach on this team. Um, we're halfway, fellas. Uh, that's crazy to think about. And at that halfway point, the Spurs are second in the West. So a lot of fantastic stuff from this team.
Third in
Also, a
the
lot of stuff
NBA.
not bad, you know? Um, so I think uh, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We also got, some areas for improvement. So excited to get into all of that
We
with
being
you,
sticklers though if we're looking at areas
well-haired
of
fellas.
improvement for a team that's third overall in the NBA.
Brother, we're trying to
They are.
they're supposed to be a championship caliber team now. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That's fair. Now,
Greatness
We gotta pick
greatness
nits.
needs sticklers. What has the Spurs said all season, Zach? They've been like, it's about the details.
yep.
It's
No, it's
about the
fair.
details.
It's just,
And
from
I think
going
that's
from what it
this.
was to what it is now, it's been a quick change. It's like, oh, no, it's like we want it all
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. No, the Rock is split in two for this team, for sure, for sure. But one game this week that felt like they were kind of hitting their heads against a wall was that first Timberwolves game after they built a 19-point lead. Um, Timberwolves fans don't sit till their team scores the first bucket, and they were standing for like 5 minutes to start this game. Um, but kind of something that we've seen all week and a little bit throughout the season with the Spurs is they struggled to play with the lead. Wemby was great; he was hitting his shots. A little bit of hero ball, which we saw even more of that from him in the most recent Timberwolves game. But the rest of the offense got a little stagnant. And Fox was clutch late, but Ant wound up winning on a drive against Wemby. And I love watching Ant play against Wemby and talk about playing against Wemby. It's a really fun little, that can be its own little rivalry. But that one, you know, it feels like uh, Wemby hates Chet. It feels like Wemby loves Ant,
Yeah,
just because of the
they really
competitive
like each
fire.
other. Like there is a lot of mutual respect there.
They love going at it. And you know, the the thing that jumped out to me on the stat sheet on this one is Wemby had 29, team high plus 17 in the loss. Fox, Castle, and Harper combined to shoot 8 for 35 from the floor and 0 of 9 from three. It had been a brutal shooting stretch for about 10 games for your San Antonio Spurs.
Zach, dive further deep into the brutality and tell us about what happened in the OKC game.
Well, that OKC game, and I don't want to be like I knew it was coming, but I think we all as Spurs fans had like this thought in the back of our mind that there might be we might be, on the tracks for a train that we can't stop on that Tuesday night, and it happened. That second half, third quarter specifically, the OKC Thunder came out and really punched Spurs in the mouth and got extremely physical. First half was a little back and forth, a little cagey, but that third quarter really blew the game wide open. The fans were into it. They were getting up into Wemby's chest. They were fighting with Wemby. Wemby got a knock on the back of his head. He rolled his ankle, almost got his jersey taken off at one point. This was the OKC Thunder really ramped it up, and people were like, "Well, this is what you're going to see in the playoffs." Look, sure, but I still think it was a bit over with the physicality. But once again, you knew that was what was going to be expected for the Spurs team with this OKC team losing to them 3 times this season. You knew they were going to come out and really put it all on the line. We heard SGA say this wasn't their Super Bowl at the end of the game. Why would you make that comment if it wasn't your Super Bowl? That's always kind of weird. It's called
The
projection.
quote William Shakespeare doth protest too much.
Yeah, like all
And
right, like
To further quote,
let me tell you something real quick here. All right, SGA, we see you, man. We see this idea of this calm, cool, collective customer who, like, no one gets under his skin. I know a player that gets under your
yeah.
skin. His name is Stephon Castle, because you don't exactly hit like that shot and then point at him and say, you ain't shit, unless he is really under your skin. So, SGA, we see you. We see you.
And speaking of Steph
to
Castles,
further
oh
quote William Shakespeare, uh, the only people who say it's not our Super Bowl are the maddest they've ever been about
yes,
sports.
no, like that's usually like projection. That's like, all right, buddy, I know what you're doing here. But speaking of Steph Castle, he always seems to have great games against OKC. He was the star of the game, 20 points, 6 or 13 from the floor, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. He loves playing against OKC. So, and I think him and SGA are a good matchup 1v1. So, of course, SGA is going to take it a little, personal and a little egotistical, prideful when he finally gets some shots off. So, cheers to them, credit to them. You're still down 3-1 this season.
And, fellas, let me tell you, we talked about this on the last show. 10 games after an emotional letdown, that, there is a regression we see with these teams. That OKC team, that OKC game, that was game 10 from Christmas. What happened? We saw Giannis in the Bucks. Spurs come back to San Antonio.
Shave their heads.
They shaved their heads because they were
Importantly.
like, we need to cleanse ourselves. I totally respect this. And they took it to the Bucks. Wemby did not score a point in the first quarter. Banged knees with Giannis in that game after banging knees with SGA in the game before. Did not score in the first quarter. He basically played only the second and the third quarter. 22 total minutes, put up 22 points. A true belt to ass type of beatdown with the Bucks. And everybody basically sat the fourth quarter because they were up at one point by 41 points.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at like the scoring by quarter. The Bucks scored 32 points in the fourth quarter, while the Spurs scored 13, and they still won by double digits. So impressive win. And then let's jump to last night. The battle of the two faces of the league, running it back with the Timberwolves. The Spurs in this game in the second quarter scored 48 points, the fourth most in their franchise history, and also the most since 1987. Shaboy, the oldest one on the Silver and Black Coffee Hour panel, was not born yet. So I got to say, incredibly impressive. Anthony Edwards, man, that dude is a walking bucket, especially when he wants it. He had sat out the night before against the Rockets, which the Timberwolves also lost that game. He argued at one point with the ref while he was on the baseline with Julian Champagnie guarding him after he thought Victor Wembanyama fouled him. And then just turns around, hits a fadeaway over Julian Champagnie, splashes it, then keeps arguing with the ref about getting a foul. He got teed up. But an amazing back and forth game. The Spurs definitely wish they probably could have played that second half better and kept that lead. But the Timberwolves are second in the league in second half point differential. So, look, this is something they do. We've seen them. De'Aaron Fox talked with Nate Ryan after the game about how they keep giving up these large leads to this team. They're very good. They got back into it by taking things to the rack, and they put things in the free throw line. There was a huge free throw discrepancy, but also thought it was because they were attacking. Regardless, Victor Wembanyama showed up, 39 points in this game, played plus 30 minutes for the first time in probably since October in this game. And Keldon Johnson with the massive go-ahead three from the wing. Pretty incredible game. Let's just keep it quick because then we're going to go through some off-season or mid-season grades here for players. But anything else you guys want to say about the game from last night?
I just want a quick stat. 95 points combined between Wemby and Ant last night. Most combined points scored by two number one picks going head to head in NBA history. That's an awesome stat. That's all. I mean, we can sit back and say, I think we watched an all timer. I think there was a 55-second stint in the game where Wemby scored 5 points and Ant scored 5 points. They're going back and forth, mashing each other's hoops. I mean, as an NBA fan, fuck being a Spurs fan, fuck being a Minnesota fan. As an NBA fan, that was awesome.
If you don't like that, you don't like basketball, man. The past two games, after 10 games of just shooting like stormtroopers, it was back-to-back games with 15 or more threes, with a shooting percentage of 40 or higher. It would have been way higher in the Thunder game if the fourth quarter didn't happen. But they got that, and like I said, playing with the lead, right, has been kind of a struggle for this team. They can get a little bit complacent in their movement, especially I think when Wemby is doing hero stuff, and everybody was kind of doing hero stuff and like kind of going tit for tat with a desperate Minnesota team and Ant. But it was hero ball at the end that saved them. It was Wemby putting on his cape and saying, "Oh, you hit a three? I'm gonna hit a three. You hit a mid-range jumper? I'm gonna hit a mid-range jumper. You found your teammate on the wing? Like, guess what, bro?" And it was awesome. it was jarring to watch a Spur do that. We don't really see, like, not since really prime Kawhi have we seen somebody just be like, I'm taking this over right now. So yeah, it was awesome. It feels like, you got a little bit of momentum. Just keep your foot on the gas, keep it rolling, because, the it's about inertia, and the bad juju was definitely here a little bit. I think more people need to shave their heads personally,
Who's next?
but okay, I actually thought about this a lot. I think Harrison Barnes is
Okay.
next. I think he's a good vet. He's got a buzz cut. He's unk. Like he might need to give it a test drive anyway, just to like see what it'll look like in a few years. I think he's next. I think Champagnie maybe, and then from there,
No, that's
you.
that's definitely not happening.
I think actually guys like Castle and Vassell are kind of like dark horse candidates.
Castle said
Not the
after the game,
next,
there
but
is
like
no way he's ever shaving his head.
I right, but here's the thing: is like it's getting long, right? So if the you know uh, peer pressure gets to a point and he needs a haircut anyway, he might be like, yeah, you know what? I'll join my teammates on it. But
I
somebody's got to do
I
it.
do not think Stephon Castle is susceptible to peer pressure.
That's probably true. But like, you know, I saw a play last night where he whipped his head around and like, got hit in the face with his own
Oh.
hair. I'm like, this is distracting.
Oh, well.
You got an unnecessary
Tom,
body
let that
part
let that
impeding your
conversation
ability.
be for people with hair, right? Distraction with hair.
I'm just saying it's better over here. It's better over here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to talk about a candidate who might also be up for being a part of the Spurs shaped head club. But before we do that, so look, we're at 42 games. We have truly, truly finally crossed the threshold of the halfway point of the season. Spurs fans, lock in. It is just halfway through. We're about to start the rodeo road trip. We still haven't even had the All-Star break. The trade deadline is the first week of February. And even Mitch Johnson has said this thing is going to the spring. He didn't say April. He said the spring.
When does
And
summer
who
officially start?
knows?
June 20 something.
I think, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't, I'm not
He's being
like one of
technical.
those.
Technically
Yeah.
correct, Mitch.
So what I'm saying here is this team's expecting greatness out of it. I know as fans, people are expecting greatness out of them as well. But I want to just kind of say something too. Look, Wembanyama's rookie year, they had 22 wins the entire season. They were 22 and 60. Look at where they're at now. Look at what I mean. I don't think anybody really had. I think there were people optimistic about the Spurs. I don't know that anybody had at this level. And so what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out a little bit as we've crossed this halfway point, and we're going to give out some grades to the Spurs players, Mitch Johnson and the coaching staff, rather than our usual, high praise and what questions we have and things like that. We're just dipping and diving deep into grades. And so as we kick this off, let's talk about the first one here, because I think, Tom, you set this up a little bit alphabetically, and then I'm not sure because I think that it kind of gets out of alphabetically. But you're muted, Tom.
What's your order of
I
operations here,
am
Tom?
muted. I'll explain my layout here. I started with some
Okay.
rookies, right, and give us sort of a let people know how we're gonna do it, and then I get into the guys on the wing, and then I get into you know the star guards in the starting lineup, and then Wemby, and then Mitch
I like your
Johnson.
order of operations.
It feels like a good ascending, reverse ascending, order of importance
Well,
type of deal.
look, let's get into it. Our first one, who I also think is the first bald-headed, candidate up next, he has already been told that he would have previously been given $20,000 to shave his head, and he said
Cash.
no. And so the team said, if you miss three more dunks, he's missed one since that. Uh, you got to do it. We are talking
Or it's
about
free money.
we are talking
Join
about
us.
Carter Bryant, um, rookie from Arizona in his first year with the Spurs. Zach, kick us off with your grade for Carter Bryant so far on the season.
He's getting minutes. I'm gonna give him a C plus. What you're seeing from him, he's clearly got some talent there, and I think he's shown a lot more in practice than what he's shown in games. So he's earning the trust from the coaches in those situations, and he's shown in the run he's getting. He gets I feel like when he's out there, he makes plays. Whether it's good plays or bad plays, he's still involved. So that's what I want to see. He's around the ball.
Okay. I'm gonna go B minus here. He's to Zach's point, he's still showing something that's worth being in the rotation. Last night got some pretty great offensive rebounds. He's definitely showing that like if his offense is not showing up, he is going to make some form of impact on the team. I hope to see a little bit more of him in the G League, just because I think getting some more playing time is going to help out in general with just his conditioning. Tom, what do you got on this one?
I'm gonna give him a B minus, and then for all of these players, I've invented like a midseason award to give them. So, for example, I'm giving Carter Bryant a B minus and the Ricky Bobby I don't know what to do with my hands award. Feels fitting because like that first race for Ricky, he went from last to third. It was impressive, right? But it's just like pure speed and raw energy, and he's talking real quiet in the interview, and he's not you use the hands to dunk the basketball. I'm confident he will though, and I'm confident that he'll be a really exciting player on and off the racetrack in the future. That's why he gets the Ricky Bobby I don't know what to do with my hands award.
Perfect. Let's move on to the next rookie who's really getting some run. Number 2 overall pick, Dylan Harper. Um, and right now Dylan is averaging 10.5 points, 3.5 assists, and 3.2 rebounds in 32 games this season. I'll kick us off on this one. I'm going to give him an A overall. Offensively, he has definitely had a rookie slump. Seems that once again in the last 2 games, he's come out of that and scoring double-digit points again. He's never stopped attacking the rim. And we're also starting to see some decent shooting on catch and shoot threes to further stretch the game. But guys, outside of his rookie slump, remember, this guy had a game winner against the Pelicans with his offhand. This guy also missed, I believe, the first 10 games of the
Yep.
season, then has come in. And despite his offensive slump, the dude has been in the rotation. He has always shown up on defense. He's been a really solid defender. I think more so than what people were expecting, especially from a rookie. He is sometimes in closing lineups. Sometimes he is not. Look, there's a lot to really like about Dylan Harper overall from this season. So I'm giving him an A, not an A plus or minus, just an A, in relation to my expectations for him. Tom, what do you got on this one?
I'm gonna give him a B overall. I think that he's shown really great flashes and been like truly like I knew in his first home game that he was a special player, right? When it was like he's the mature one. He's the one taking control of this. That's why I'm giving him the Doogie Howser Child Prodigy Mature for His Age award. But you know, in this last 10 games, it's been a little bit more than just the outside shooting that has concerned me a little bit. Some of the decision making hasn't been great, and but like you expect that from a rookie. He's a rookie. I've talked myself into a B plus here. Slash, you have talked me into a higher grade because he has been like in the flashes he's been fantastic. So we'll go B plus.
Zach, what do you
I
got?
I will B plus ish, which a curved grade would be an A when you put everything into context. Started the season with a thumb injury. Didn't really get too much of a preseason with the boys. Then a calf injury, but in between that was fantastic in a few games. Came back, started finding his groove. Been fantastic in a few games where you're like, okay, there are a lot of flashes here, and he's been asked to do a lot with a little that he had coming into the offseason with the injury and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, AB hit the nail on the head. He's been involved in winning games. He's been involved with scoring and winning games, assisting and winning games, defense and winning games. That's what you want to see as a rookie. I mean, you really can't ask for much as a rookie to say just do your role and do your part. And I think he's doing that fantastically. And then of course his handles are unbelievable. I mean, what a player. So a B plus is to an A, which is a curved grade. The other part of the class was terrible, but he moves up to an A.
Feel like I talked y'all into an A, so let's
No,
just
mine
move on.
says B plus ish for a reason.
Zach, this
You
is
did
not a place
convince
for
me.
us to do math, so let's move on to the next one. All right, definitely more of a controversial. Well, let's put quotes around controversial figure here, but Jeremy Sohan this season. He's averaging 4.4 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.1 assists in 26 games played this season. We know he's had quite a number of DNPs. Tom, kick us off on this one.
Man, Jeremy Sohan. Um, it's I'm giving him the Ryan Gosling "It wasn't over, it still isn't over" award, because it feels like despite him not having the minutes on the court, uh, it feels like he's writing this team every day for a year. Like his heart's still in it. He's um, you know I think he's taken this time not playing to sort of reflect and keep building himself a little bit. Uh, I'm gonna give him the C plus, because I see the stuff that is happening outside of the games a little bit, and it feels like he's taken a very mature approach to falling out of the rotation. And I think down the road, when you're playing football with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs, you need a guy like that. So it wasn't over. It still isn't over for Jeremy Sohan.
What do you got, Zach?
E for effort, because every time he's out there, it's great effort from him. You know what you get you know what you're gonna get, and I think Tom hit the nail on the head with everything going on outside of basketball, with things that he can't control. I think he's been in control of when he's out there. He's given a shit, and you can tell it's affecting him, but it's not taking away the effort on the court, which is what you want to see from him when he gets those opportunities. There have been a few games this year where he's been involved to try to win the game, to play good defense to get him back in the games. I think he'll get his opportunity. There are always going to be opportunities throughout the season. So, E for effort. Even last night when there was a play, he's the first one off the bench celebrating. There's a timeout when Mike Conley fell on the ground, and who was the first one kind of out there bantering with Mike Conley? It was Jeremy Sohan trying to rip the ball from him. So, not for lack of effort. He's always trying out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him an F, and not because of like what that grade stands for, but for flashes. I think he's shown flashes of opportunity. But as we've talked about with this team, the evolution of what is necessary that we've kind of constantly seen is spacing on the offensive end. And he after he came back, 2 weeks ago, he had that first kind of a little hesitation, and then he's not hesitating from three, which I think is great. I think a couple of these games this last week just didn't call for him to be in them. The OKC game, I think, that one just got out of hand. He was in the victory cigar lineup against the Bucks. He did score actually in the post in that game too, in that fourth quarter. So we kind of talked about last week with him specifically was he entering back into the lineup, or were they showcasing him for a trade? It's kind of funny. Like, I feel like the fact that he's not been in these last few games this week is a little more uh, showing the Spurs want to develop him more or keep him around rather than showcasing him for a trade for the sake of it. So it'll be really interesting to see how that keeps developing the season. All right.
Something Zach kind of touched on was like, the engagement with his teammates, right?
Yeah.
It would be very easy for him to disengage. It would be very easy for him to be at the end of the bench sulking, right? He's been great.
No,
He's had a great attitude all year.
completely agree. This one I think is truly the feel good story of the year. Mr. Julian Champagnie. Look, pop that Champagnie. We're here for you. What a way to kick off the new year. Um, his stats for the season are he averages 11.2 points, 6.3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and he is one of only two Spurs that has played in all 42 games this season. Zach, what do you got?
A plus, A plus. All things considered, contract, where he came from, what he's doing for this team, the things he does on a nightly basis. We want you to come off the bench. We want you to start. We want you to get rebounds. We want you to defend. We want you to do everything you do. Shout out to Julian Champagnie, man. This guy, undrafted, 10-day contract, gets a full-time contract with the Spurs, and look at him, flourishing. This guy is, as AB said, if there's somebody you want to point to say, always keep your head down and work hard, it's this guy. Julian Champagnie, shout out to you.
Yeah, Julian. Julian came on my radar during the first Austin Spurs games. Um, and he was a guy
And he had just been signed
who
at that point.
he had just been signed, but he was also dropping buckets,
Mm-hmm.
and so
They put him right in the starting lineup.
right. And it was one of those things where I kept like looking at the stat line, especially after the game, and be like, Champagne, like, oh, okay, cool. And um, it's been really amazing to see his evolution with this team. And I mean, I'm going to give him an A plus as well. This is not like any surprise. He's developed into the sniper that the team needed. He's also after Stephon Castle. He's the one who they're going to put on perimeter players. I mean, he's been one of the SGA stoppers for the team as well. And I would put him as the second best consistent perimeter defender on this team. I'm not saying that he's necessarily the best. There's a reason I'm saying consistent in there as well, because the dude brings it. And to Zach's point, he has showed to be an incredibly dynamic player between being in the starting lineup, being in the rotation. Years ago, he was a starter, and he was also in the Victory Cigar, lineup with this team. So shout out to Julian Champagnie. Cannot wait for that dude to get the bag this summer. Back up the Brinks truck for that guy. What do you got on this one, Tom?
Julian Champagnie gets an A. He gets the Danny Green Spiritual Successor Award. The journey from undrafted to where he is now, the way he's had to grind it out, has been really special to see. He's a really great example of what Mitch Johnson is trying to get this team to do in controlling what you can control. He's a shooter, right? And the ball's not always going to go in, but the rebounding, right? He's got 7 double-doubles this year. He's been scrapping. He's been an excellent perimeter defender, and having him slot into that role of really good 3-point shooting and defense and rebounding for this is exactly what they need on the wing. He's filled in admirably in Devin Vassell's absence. And whether the shot is falling or not, you know that he is going to go out there and give it everything he's got. And something he talked about after that record setter against the Knicks, just honoring the basketball gods, shoot when you're open, shoot when you're hot. That's his job. He does it. Julian Champagnie, man. Shout out.
All right, I'm going first on this next one because I'm going to call both of you guys out. Y'all graded Luke Kornet way too low. Way too low. I'm kind of I'm not I'm not angry, y'all. I am disappointed. Y'all graded
I'm
Luke
so
Kornet
angry.
way too low. Luke Kornet mid-season, this guy is an A plus. Do you guys realize in the Spurs Victor Wembanyama era, this is the first time there is ever a positive plus minus with Wemby off the court? Who do you think's responsible for that? Hmm. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also, who held it down right now at the beginning of the season when Victor was out and the team went on an 8-2 run? Hmm. Luke Kornet. Who is probably the funniest player on the team? Hmm. Say it with me.
Luke
Luke Kornet.
Kornet.
Luke Kornet. Yeah.
Okay. Who has already created a meme for himself that will go down in Spurs lore? Once again, fellas, say it with me. Luke Kornet.
Luke Kornet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I don't understand, okay, I'm just going to let y'all understand something too. Previously, with Wemby off the court in his rookie year, they were minus 12.9. Second year, when he was off the court, minus 11. This year, they are a plus, I think it's like 3. Regardless, Luke Kornet is A plus on this season. He's given us so much from his beautiful screens, from his little dances, to the fact that he plays Adele when he warms up every game. We have to shout out Luke Kornet. This dude is A plus all the way. You guys giving him
Making it
just an
sound
A
like we
is
put him
way
in
too
remedial
low.
Yeah, you
English.
gave me. Yeah, I didn't give him like a C.
He's got
He's
an
got an
A.
A.
He's an A plus. This is why I'm disappointed. You guys need to
So you're.
I'm standing on business on this one.
I'm willing to entertain it, and here's why. I gave him the A. I also gave him the coveted Tommy Award from his previous team in the Boston Celtics, Tommy Heinsohn, R.I.P. Gave the Tommy Award to players who did all the little things, did the dirty work, effort, energy, hustle. He did a really amazing. If you haven't seen it, go find it. Jared Weiss did a story on this, but he ran a campaign for the Tommy Award against Spurs legend Derek White, and it's like a political attack ad. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. The guy is hilarious, right? But yeah, the upgrade, the let me upgrade you element, I think is very fair. It's it's been it's been so wonderful to not feel like you just drank 6 cups of coffee and you're like, oh God, when's Wemby coming back? It's just kind of like, I'd like to see the big fella, but this big fella also rules. I think Luke would shave his head too. If Luke shaves his head, that's how he can get the plus from me.
That is ridiculous, Tom. The only way that Mitch Johnson could have gotten away with the bench experiment for Wemby is by having Luke Kornet. The only way
And that's
he's
true.
able. What are y'all talking about, dude? What are y'all
I need
talking
to use
about?
my
Let me
leverage.
defend myself.
I need to use
Let
my
me
leverage
defend
to get
myself.
more baldies.
Let me defend myself.
But I think you
I
might be
got
right.
I
back.
am right. I am right on this one.
I got back from a birthday party last night at 1:15, and I jumped on the running show, and that was one of the answers I answered last night. I did the rest this morning, so I didn't go back and refix my answer. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed in myself for putting an A. It
Good.
should be A plus.
Join me, Zach. Join
I'll
me.
be upfront with you and say I'll be upfront with you in agreement. I was just putting it up there just to have something to go with, and I just didn't get to it. I was like, you know what? We'll leave. I didn't realize I was get flamed for my A for such a good grade. I mean, I take A's. Ask my mother; she would take A's for me all day. So trust me, an A's an A, an A's an A. so A plus will allow because Luke Kornet has been fantastic. Oh, a white boy's little motion, nothing wrong with that.
Love it.
Aaron, you're a convincing orator. You know what? And like I think that's in the spirit of this show, right? We're all open to new information and ideas and talking through stuff. A plus Luke Kornet A++ if you shave the head.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
You can always bump.
The next guy.
Yeah. So yes, as we have said for years on this podcast, look, I'm allowed to change my mind when presented with new
Yep,
information.
that's
So,
fair.
and don't worry, I think y'all are going to argue with me about other things too. That's okay. That's what makes the
Always.
show great.
That's
That's
fair.
why you want to talk sports with your boys. The next one of the pioneers of the bald head movement within the Spurs, or the shaved head movement, however you want to call it. None other than Keldon Big Body Johnson. Oh man. Uh Look, I think everybody's pretty satisfied with KJ's performance. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Look,
Okay, y'all go
I'm
off
not giving a
first.
grade. I'm not giving a grade. I'm going off. Usually it's like a 5-star grade. I'll do a 5 bark grade. Oh, 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 oh. That's how good he's been this year. He's been so good. He's been unbelievable. That's the grade for Keldon. It's the 5 barks, maybe even a growl in there if you want to throw it in there for a cherry on top for a bonus because he's been so good. I mean, he's had the ball in his hands less points scored per game, but he's been so efficient. Guys, he's like a center in the paint. He's shooting good from the three. He's shooting great from the corner this year. He worked on that all summer. Glue guy, glue guy. Shout out to Keldon Johnson. I don't need to talk anymore. Dog.
Yeah, the Jordan House team posted the stat where the only players hitting that percentage from the floor and from 3-point range are him and Jokic right now. He's the most clear A+ I can think of. He gets the Vanessa Carlton 1,000 Miles award because he would walk 1,000 miles for this team, for this fan base.
Just to see
He's the
you.
beating heart. Just to see you tonight. And White Chicks, another great piece of bald representation. But yeah, Keldon in that terrible shooting stretch for this team in that 10-game stretch after Christmas, his trebuchet was one of the only functioning long-range weapons for this team. He's been incredibly consistent. He's been so much fun. He's can I say that I'm so excited to get mic'd up Keldon Johnson in the playoffs? Give me that. Oh man, give me that.
I'll keep it short because you guys have already hit on some incredibly excellent points with them. You shave your head, I'll shave my head. You hit a three, I'll hit a three. And I will buy a llama. Man, I feel like that's essentially the summary of Keldon Johnson's season. It's been great. Defensive effort has been there as well. Um, yeah, I got nothing else to put on that. He is A+ on my end.
Maybe have you run that by the wife, the shaved head in the llama buying?
Me?
Yeah.
No, my wife freaked out when I shaved my beard one time. She's like, "What did you do?" And then she's like, "It doesn't look so bad." It's like, yeah, sometimes you gotta just buzz it off.
There you go.
Speaking of another candidate that Tom brought up, Harrison Barnes. I think this is going to be a really interesting one for us here. So, Tom,
I'm sorry. You said a Harrison Barnes, but you said it like Harrison Barnes. If he shaves, he'll be a Baldison Barnes.
perfect. I see where you're going with this. This is why you're the writer amongst us.
I love it. Yeah, Harrison Barnes. Right now, I'm going to give him a B- and the Uncle Phil award. He's just a really good J. Cole role model for these kids. He's not old, but he's Unc for sure. And like everybody else on the team, pretty much his shooting has dipped a little bit. It's always tough when Sean's calling him Mr. 100% and he has a game where it's just way off, and he has had those games to the point where, you know, like ideally you would be getting a little bit more consistency and reliability on that shot, have that being one of his main jobs on this team. But for right now, it's a process oriented thing, and I love his process, man. He's really great. What about you, AB?
Counterpoint. I'm giving him a B plus. In the last 10 games, despite his shooting slump. He is third in the team in overall plus minus during that time, just behind Victor Wembanyama and Julian Champagnie. So I understand the frustration from a game to game basis with his shooting. Um, that is understandable, but overall, he's been great this season. He won that game against the Memphis Grizzlies when Wemby was out. I didn't think Castle was out that one. Um, Further, just been a great veteran presence on the team. Hasn't made hay when he's not been in that closing lineup because he knows his shot isn't falling. So yeah, I got to give Harrison Barnes a B plus with this team. And look, just remember zooming out a bit. This guy wasn't afraid of Chet during those first few OKC games in the post. So I'm a believer in Harrison Barnes rounding back into form. Zach, what about you?
That was hot. Him putting his elbow into Chet. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I gave him a B. AB, you kind of said it great. He had some great early season performances from him that kept the team afloat, that's gotten the team involved, or kept team in games, won the team games. So I understand recently over the past month or so, the shooting hasn't been what you would want it to be as a Spurs fan, or I'm sure he would want it to be. You can ask him straight up, he'd be like, I want to make shots. But you would hope that that regression to the means would balance itself back out. He was shooting really hot, now he's shooting really cold. You would think it'd balance itself up back at some point in the season, and that's what you're banking on as a Spurs fan. But he hasn't been bad. I think he's a great piece to have on this team, and it spaces the floor out for Wemby when he's out there. So keep putting him in the corner. I think it'll come back around.
Yep. Next one. Devin Vassell. On the season, he is averaging 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.4 assists in 32 games. I'm going to just kick us off with this one, and I'm actually going to give Devin Vassell an A plus, and it's basically due to his absence that I'm going to do this because this is essentially our most legit three-level scorer on the team, I'd say, outside of Wemby. Really becoming the person who opens up the offense with spacing and being a bit of a slump buster with getting his own shot. Especially, he likes that button, pull down screen, shoots it right at the free throw line for himself. He is great in transition on with threes as well. He is someone, in response to Julian Champagnie, who I think could become our second best perimeter defender. But I think it's sometimes inconsistent with him. I think he's done a great job this season of balancing between if he doesn't have it on offense, he's taking it on defense. We saw that in the NBA Cup that he was really great at that. And then there's other nights where he's not able to, but his length on his length on defense has been great. I'm giving him an A plus.
I think I'm gonna give him an A.
I'm gonna.
Oh, my bad, Tom. Go for it.
Oh no. So I'm giving him an A minus. The I think the main reason I'm dinging him is, I guess on availability, right? Which has been something that has sort of bothered him a little bit throughout his career. But at the end of the day, he's getting the Mark Wahlberg "I'm the guy who does his job" award. This is the role that he was meant to play, right? And we're seeing him in all of those ways that you talked about, Aaron, be one of the best possible 3-and-D and more type of guys that the Spurs could have in that starting lineup with Fox and Wemby. A legit, third option, or at least on that level, just below them of the safety valve, right? When stuff breaks down, he can get to his spots, hit his shots, pretty much all over the court. And yeah, they're missing him badly right now. Again, consistency, but he's heated up quite a bit before he went out. So I'm excited to see him work his way back in when he does. But yeah, really, really, really awesome in his role this year when he's been
Yeah, his
back
shooting
with
numbers
us.
this year, top 25 in shot and 3-point attempts, and top 25 in 3-point makes and percentage. So, look, he's playing his role to perfection. I'm giving him an A. I think it'd easily be an A plus, like what AB said with that grade, seeing how the team has been playing this without him and needing him and what he brought to the team. There's a bunch of he's been involved in a bunch of big games. Can think of that Denver game he was fantastic in, where he really put the team on his back and took the team to the quarterfinals of that NBA Cup. So look, Devin Vassell, shout out to him. He's had an up and down the last few seasons. I think he's finally found some consistency. Unfortunately, this little oblique injury kind of threw a little wrench in what he was building over the last 20 something games with his team. But I'm excited to see him and Wemby and Fox figure this out. You're right. He's a great third option for those guys to space the floor out and get buckets when they need it. So shout out to Devin. Keep grinding. Keep doing your thing.
Move on to the next one, hitting the heavy hitters here to round it out. Stephon Castle. Fellas, I'm going to save my rant of disappointment again, but y'all ranked him way too low here. I'm going to tell you, Stephon Castle is going to be an A on my end. He's asked to lead the offense and then guard the opposing team's best player. Can y'all tell me who else in the league does that?
Not a lot of players.
In
No one. The answer is no one. No one else is asked to bear as much responsibility as Stephon Castle is. So I'm going to give him a little bit of grace. Not saying there aren't things to improve. We have definitely seen him be turnover prone. The last few games, he's had some really lazy entry passes. But the dude guards everyone on the court. He has asked to guard Giannis. He has asked to guard SGA. He has guarded Chet. He has guarded Luca. There's no one that is asked in the NBA, I think, to have bear more responsibility than Stephon Castle. And he still drives to the basket and goes hard every time. I think within that, I mean, I grade these like kind of relative to their expectations. Not everybody has the same expectations. So I'm going to give him an A. I think he's been great.
I give him a B plus. As I in my notes, the Swiss Army knife, and he's hit it guarding everybody to other team centers to point guards. It's running the offense. There have been some kinks in it, but it's not always going to be the smoothest and second year player. Mitch Johnson said they've asked a lot of this kid. They expect a lot of this kid, and he's showing it now by they're putting a lot on his plate, and he's eating it all up. So shout out to him. We still need to see a little bit of improvement from that 3-point shot, and I think that's why I gave him a B plus. But he's not afraid to take it, and I think if there would be one thing if he was afraid to take it, it would be more of a I would be nervous about it. He's clearly confident in that shot itself. It was just when it starts falling. Over the last few games, it has fallen. He did have a little slump, previous 10 games before that, just like all the rest of the Spurs. So who am I going to sit there and just single him out? But he's been fantastic. This guy's awesome. He's been dealing with a little thumb injury the last 12, 13 games, which might cause a little dip in the shooting numbers as well. Asked him about it after the game, said it's improving. Look, B plus A, whatever it is, it's like he's like an 89 on my scoring, which is like you're there. You're basically an A at that point.
What do you got, Tom?
That's fair. I'm gonna give him a B, and it's because I expect really great things from him. The shooting, I think you're absolutely right about Zach. He's I'm glad that he's continuing to let it fly because the form looks good. One and two, they need it, right? And for him to continue to grow, he needs to keep taking those shots and just take them when they're open, right? For me, it's the decision making. Earlier in the season, Mitch Johnson talked about getting him to basically take the singles and the walks, and instead of trying to run through the wall, walk through the door. And that's been, I think, sort of, especially in the last month, it's been a struggle for him that has caused struggles for the Spurs. And for a player as talented as him, I'm expecting him to be a little bit better in that area of the game. But there's so much other stuff that he does that's fantastic, where it's like, yeah, dude, he's going to be incredible. I'm giving him the Power Thirst Fighter Jet Made Out of Biceps award.
Perfect.
which I think is self-explanatory.
Nice. Well, we'll jump on to De'Aaron Fox. He's averaging 20 and a half points this season, 5.9 assists, 4.2 rebounds in 33 games. Zach, I'm going to let you go off on De'Aaron first.
I give him a B plus because the games where he's on is very evident. Where you're like, okay, here's De'Aaron Fox. This is what we paid. This is what we're expecting to get. But I still think there are games when him and Wemby are playing together where they're still just trying to figure it out, and where they're still trying to who's gonna have the ball in these situations, and that's because he dealt with a little injury over the offseason, and Wemby and him didn't really have the opportunity to do what they wanted to do as much as they previously probably planned on in the offseason. Work on pick and rolls, work on these spacing things where you figure out where the other person likes to be, and they're kind of figuring out on the fly. So I'm not knocking him for that, but there are games where you can just see that he just is trying to find his footing within this team. Where do I get involved? How do I get myself going? But then there are also games where you could tell he's in that role of being a great point guard, getting everyone involved, and then finding his own too. So I think balancing that out for him is going to be great for this Spurs team once he figures it out. That the optimal me versus a team type of scenario. When does he go? When does he get the team involved with Wemby? So I think we're just all figuring that out. That's on the fly learning, on the job training, and so a B plus for me from him.
You got it, Tom.
I am giving him a B plus and the Ferrari Award, which, by the way, I did a little Lego. Good for my mom.
This is from you. Cool. This is for you, Darren.
Fun stuff. If you know me and you know my relationship with Scuderia Ferrari, you know that this is both compliment and some things we can work on, right? Because Ferraris are fast, but they are also finicky, and it's also not something that you use every day. And I think for as much greatness as we have seen already from De'Aaron Fox. Like you said, Zach, there are games when he's not as engaged and not as effective, right? They like he'll have random games where it's like 6 points, right? And I would love for him to be making a bit more of a daily impact on this team, and that comes with time. We're seeing more pick and roll with him and Wemby, which I think is only going to be great. So, that's where I'm at on Fox. What about you, AB?
So B minus. I'm kind of with y'all. I just would like to see consistency. I think I see what he's doing when he's trying to get his teammates going, but his speed is an asset, especially in these times with Devin Vassell out in creating space. I don't know that there's many people that can even stay in front of him, and just creating more of that driving kick even will be great for him. But we're gonna go B minus right now relative to expectations for De'Aaron Fox. Last one of the players, Mr. Victor Wembanyama. Nope, that doesn't work at all. Victor Wembanyama.
I think it works.
With all that being said, Wemby is averaging 24 and a half points, 10.9 rebounds, and 3 assists in 28 games this season. Tom, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Wemby gets an A, and I'm giving him several awards. I'm giving him Defensive Player of the Year. I'm giving him First Team All-NBA. And I'm giving him the Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando Hilarious Hero Award because this guy is funny, man. Obviously he's good. We know he's good. I saw something where since Christmas, he's basically averaging a point per minute on 50, 40, 90. Which is a big reason why the Spurs have managed to tread water in this stretch. And he's just so funny, man. Like they asked him the other night, like, "Hey, you hit a 3 after you blocked a shot again," and he's like, "I did it again," and they're like, "You did it again." And he's like, "Oops." Hilarious guy.
Has the media room laughing a lot.
He is so funny, man. And the thing is, he's the main character and he knows it, and there's something so magnetic about that, right? Like that game against the Timberwolves, he knows it's like sh- hero ball is generally frowned upon here, but you know what? I'm feeling kind of heroic. So yeah, A, easy A, and go watch Commando if you haven't.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him an A too. Not an A plus quite yet. Because heavy is the head that wears the crown. For Victor Wembanyama, and look, he's when he's on the court, defense is elite. I think he really learned some things about his team and playing just from having those times being sat, as well as just coming off the bench. He talked about being able to kind of better respond to the game. I think the next thing that will be for him to elevate for himself is dictating the game when he comes out to it. And, he did that in that Dallas Mavericks game to kick off the year. He was ready to do that. He was amped, took it to Anthony Davis in that one. And so I'd like to see that. Um, One thing that's really interesting in the last 10 games, though, he is number 2 in the team in 3-point percentage at 45%. You know who's ahead of him is Jordan McLaughlin at 50. So let's just say Wemby is number 1 on the team by volume. In these last 10 games. So I've been excited to see his 3-point shot diet open up again. I do think that is going to help with the amount of wear and tear he has already been getting. But the other thing that I've really seen in an evolution of his game has been less ball stoppage. I think that has kind of always been the critique of his game is like this guy can get any shot he wants, but he will hold on to that ball sometimes for a long time. And he's still known to do it, but I am seeing him do it a lot less than he did. So I'm going to give Wemby an A. We'll see what he does in the second half. Zach, what do you got?
Guys, this is I could rant like you pulled a rant on me, AB, but there's no reason for it. This is an A plus. Guys, we're third in the West, third in overall, second in the West. He's a big part of that. He's a massive reason this Spurs team is where they are. With his mentality on the court and with his mentality off the court and the way he holds himself and the way he holds his team accountable. Look, he has done everything this team has asked him for and a little more this year. And I think that's for me is why he gets the A plus. He We could do recency bias when you said over the last since Christmas he's been this. Yeah, he's been fantastic before that too. And he's been fantastic every single time he's touched the court this season. I can probably name 2 games this season where without point guards was difficult for him when they didn't have De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper in a game, or it was difficult. And then against LA, it was difficult. But ever since then, it's been he's figuring out this groove and figuring out where his spots are and how to adjust with defenses. And he's seen a lot of different looks this year from all different teams. He has been getting beat up. He has been, I got to ask him after the game how his body feels after these brutal games he's been going for, rolled ankles, getting knee in the quad, getting knee in the knee. He said, "I feel great." Just like in relative to where everybody else feels in this season. And I think for me, that's awesome to hear that, even with all this wear and tear, he still feels great and comfortable. And with that 3-point shooting, it looks fantastic, guys. That 3-point shooting looks so good over the past month. He is not hesitating. A few of those threes he had last night against the Timberwolves, you're like, what the hell? And then a few of those threes he had against the Bucks, you're like, oh, man, he's not hesitating. He is just pulling these. Shout out to Wemby. Guys, we are extremely blessed. That guy is unbelievable, and sky's the limit.
Let's talk about the last one. Mitch Johnson here. Look, like you just said, second in the West, third in the NBA overall record. Currently sitting, I believe, at 10th in offensive net rating and third in defensive net rating. I am gonna just kick us off with this one. Mitch Johnson gets an A plus in my opinion. Now, an A plus isn't 100%. Doesn't mean that he has, you know, been hasn't had his mistakes. But overall, man, he's done a great job managing the rotation, managing through. Let's just look at the amount of injuries that the team has had. We've had Dylan Harper missed the beginning of the year. De'Aaron Fox missed the beginning of the year. Devin Vassell is missing right now. Stephon Castle was nicked up at the beginning of the year. Victor Wembanyama in the first half as well.
Didn't have
Luke
Luke Kornet.
Kornet took some out as well. So, look, to be able to manage through all of that and still be where this team is just a fantastic job. I don't think, I mean, once again, you kind of like zoom out, like, he's missed on some rotations. Other times he's like pulled the right strings. Um, I'm going to give him an A plus. Mitch Johnson has done fantastic job, and also personally, he's done a great job at answering questions that we know Pop would have just shot down and said we're dumb at another time. So, thank you as well, Mitch Johnson, for at least giving some good answers and insight to this team. What do you got, Zach?
I had an A initially, but it's an A plus. So the more I think about it, the more I think where this team is and how the team gravitates towards him and listens to him. What do you hear in post game press conferences when people ask about Mitch and how they respect his voice, respect his opinion. Um, Look, Mitch Johnson, keep doing your thing. He's not going bald anytime soon, so he's not on that list because they asked him, are you afraid? He's like, my hair won't grow back if I do it. So he's not on that list, so take him off the list. But he has been unbelievable, pulling strings, pushing numbers, and getting these guys up. And the way his mentality on the defensive end for this team, I think it starts with him and ends with him. He's been a dog, and he is always yelling and getting up in people's grill. I love watching him on the sideline defend players when he's not even defending players. It's great.
A plus, A plus for Mitch Johnson easily. I think he's a Coach of the Year candidate. Obviously Missoula as well, and a couple other guys, but he has this team focused on the right things, on the process, on playing the right way, playing with intensity all the time. And for all of those things, he gets the Greg Popovich Corporate Knowledge Award. But he also is, like you talked about, AB, willing to try things that I think probably would have been foreign to Pop, and sort of outside of, the way he treats the game of basketball. So we've seen sort of a modernized tactical approach with the exact same spiritual approach, which is really, really beautiful. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about Mitch Johnson this year.
Embrace the boring and mundane, as he said, and get back and do it again. One of the bars that's kicked off this NBA season. Well, fellas, let's talk quickly about these upcoming games. We have a Utah Jazz sandwich this week between now and when we record our next show with some Rockets meat in between. Yeah, I said what I said, and I'm not pausing. We're moving through this because we're running long as always. Utah Jazz come to a matinee showing at the Frostbank Center tomorrow night. Lauri Markkinen was not playing the night before in Dallas due to some illness. I'm assuming he's going to be back for this one. Look, these guys went freaking flamethrower mode on us from three. Don't take this for granted. They have a terrible defense, but they can get hot. I think this is one to hopefully see the Spurs continue their offensive prowess with. But one other guy to keep aware of with this Jazz team is Bryce Sensabaugh. Dude dropped 43 on the Bulls, which was higher than he even got in college. So there's a little bit more of a walking bucket getter there with him, despite a guy who typically averages 10 points a game.
Add him to the list of dudes who kill the Spurs every single time he plays.
Yeah,
Add him to the list.
And I'm hoping for this one that Ace Bailey will play. He didn't get to play in that first meeting, and he and Dylan Harper are boys, so it'd be great if they had a little, couple goes at each other. What do you guys got on this one?
Let's hope that they don't get hot again. The Jazz have lost 9 of 11 since they couldn't miss in San Antonio a few weeks ago, so let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, that Jazz game in San Antonio was sort of the start of the rough stretch that we've talked so much about. Keontae George, man. It was so weird watching the Spurs do such a great job on SGA, and then Keontae George came in and gave him the business. He's fantastic. But yeah, it looks like the Jazz have finally got the memo that they need to slow down so they don't give the Thunder a lottery pick. Um, but yeah, this is that first game was a loss for the Spurs on shooting variance and a little bit of process.
Yeah, they did something.
Control your process.
They did something really interesting that I will be curious if other teams do down the line. They attacked Wemby with floaters between the free throw line and the restricted area. They didn't try to get too deep in the paint. They didn't try to get too out of it. But that was something that I kept noticing. I was like, oh man, Will Hardy might have like found a little bit of a solution here to that, especially if Wemby's going to be so deep in the paint. So I'm curious what the Spurs will be doing to counter that this time, if Wemby's going to step out a little bit more, and if the Jazz are going to double down on that. So very fascinating one. Next one, we're going to Houston, baby, against what some on this panel think is our greatest rival. And one, I don't agree. I think it's the Mavericks. Regardless, this is an in-state rivalry. We are playing for the Texas State Championship, always in the state. Going to Houston, very interesting Houston team right now. They also beat the Timberwolves the other night. And I'm curious if that was a bit of a get over the hump for them. The way that they came back and won that game against them. There was no Anthony Edwards in that game, but there was Rudy Gobert. They were playing pretty solid and then just kind of let go of the rope against the Rockets. KD's playing fantastic still. But the problem that we thought that the Rockets would have at the beginning of the season is still the problem that they have in the middle of the season, which is who is their playmaker, who is their primary ball handler. I'm going to expect on this one for the Spurs to treat Amen Thompson like they did Alex Caruso, and they're also going to treat Jabari Smith Jr. the same way. You want to shoot a wide open corner three, we will let you. Otherwise, I imagine that they are packing the paint, that they are going to be doubling on Kevin Durant in this one. And we're going to probably see some French vanilla because the Rockets, despite how they've been in their own little slump right now, they still lead the league in offensive rebounds. What do you guys got?
Sound the alarm. About to get physical. You know how these games go with Ime, the way he plays Wemby. It's I'm curious because we saw when they played that Cup game in November, Spurs brought it to the Rockets, and even Ime Udoka said to the game, we got pushed around, we got bullied. I'm curious to see how they respond. And once again, this is a Wemby hates Houston. Houston hates Wemby. This is a very personal matchup for both those guys, for both those teams. So maybe some Sohan minutes. Maybe see him get out there and rough some people up. This is ideal for him because it is going to be one of those games.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Zach. There are certain games that I think really do call for Jeremy Sohan's size and spirit. And if you're playing against a team that not only has a tremendous amount of size that they deploy pretty much all at the same time, but also they have a bit of a distaste for the Spurs in general and Wemby specifically. Yeah, I think you need a little bit of that sandpaper element. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I am interested to see how they guard Wemby and how, I guess, how he responds to that. But how he contends with the length and the physicality. It's going to be a fascinating game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So
guys, before we move on, do we think we see Devin this week?
Yeah, I think Devin comes back this week.
Yeah, me too.
He's getting closer. Right?
He was pre-game the other day.
If they're making his warm-ups public, he's close. He's close. Yeah, and then we're going to the Spurs are going to Salt Lake City to play the Jazz. Look, I don't really have anything else to add to
Just
this
do what I
preview
said
than what was
above.
already, than what was initially said. Just a kind of a fascinating turnaround, and then we'll play the Rockets actually the following week. So, with that being said, we're at the end of the show. What do you guys got this week? What's your records? What are we saying, Zach?
3-0, baby.
Oh, damn. Okay. Tom, I have a feeling you're going to say 3-0 as well.
Gotta
Tell
go
me
slap
I'm
him in
wrong.
the face in Houston.
I think yeah. I think yes. I think that the worm has turned, as Greg.
I think you got to say it though. You can't just say I think yes.
Yeah. Give me 3.
There you go.
I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay.
Which game you think they drop? You think they split versus the Jazz or lose to the Rockets?
I think they split the Jazz. I'm actually more concerned about the Jazz than the Rockets. The Rockets are also a bad 3-point shooting team still. And Tari Eason, I don't think he played the first match. I think if he's back for this one, that's going to create some different defensive variables and physicality for the Spurs to deal with. So I'm going to go 2-1 for that. But look, we're at the end of the show. We're halfway through the season. Silver and Black Coffee Hour ain't going anywhere. If anything, Spurs fans, look, you're going to get through January and February, and then I'm telling you, March and April, they are home so much. So let's keep the bigger picture in mind with these things. Let's keep each other warm and take care of each other during this cold time of year. Zach, what do you got to tell the people before we sign off?
Keep watching Spurs basketball, enjoying life. We were blessed. Third in the league. Come on, man.
What do you got, Tom?
Stay warm out there, folks. Don't get any French bulldogs. Get a 20-year-old BMW with 6 owners and no Carfax instead.
And I don't have any car advice to give out today, or dog advice either. Just take care of each other. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.